We are live. Kathy and Ken live. Again. Same two people always.
What was our theme song going to be?
Oh, don't we're not spoiling that yet. We got some work to do on that. By the way,
what?
That was the other thing I was going to do.
Were you really going to reach out?
I was seriously going to do it. Oh! And I couldn't remember what it was all day yesterday. We're going to try to get a theme song for sure.
Okay,
we're working on it. That's a huge side note. But I just remembered it right now. Welcome to, what are we dealing with here? October the 6th. Doing a little Thursday night stream. We've got a new art spoil that we previewed with the shady...
Yeah.
What do you call that? Like distorted,
I don't know.
Blurry...
Spoiler
image. We're going to do that. And then, honestly, the big chunk of today's stream is actually going to be the second part. We always have some type of, like, thing that we put in that's not necessarily advertised. But, like, there's always updates. There's always stuff going on over here.
The other things tend to be like, what goes into developing the game and all that sort of thing.
So we're going to start off with the artwork, we're going to do that, and then we'll talk about the second half, which is a pretty big thing. I always like to give kind of like a generic update as far as like how things are going. It's only been, we actually streamed towards the end of last week, beginning of this week, whatever.
It was Sunday. It was like 5 days ago.
5 days ago. So it hasn't been a lot of time, but October's, kicking off. We got a couple more artists like signed up. I think we've got
2 brand new artists coming in and 2 repeaters.
2 new artists, 2 repeaters. Sounds right.
Yeah.
And then there's that other guy that I'm talking to, but he won't be until like a month from now at least. Yeah. Anyway, that's kind of the update on that. Just to let everybody know where we're going. But we're just going to kind of get the card up. I want to just kind of jump right into this one. It doesn't really require a whole lot of...
my mom's here. Hi, Mom. Sorry. We're going to jump in and show you the artwork.
Great. This one doesn't require a ton of introduction. It is a card that Jalen was specifically asking for last week.
He literally asked for it.
And now he's not even here.
Ken and I glanced at each other in real life and we're like, that's the art for next week.
Yeah. So it was obviously already being worked on like long before Jalen made mention of it last week. But I'm going to click to make sure I'm in the right spot. Click, and the new card.
It's the War Kitten token! Woo! I feel like this one's kind of a super surprise because it's not really a card. It's like, it's a token. It's not even a card.
Oh, it's adorable.
I know! This is a cute little War Kitten.
So Jake immediately noticed that this one is definitely coming from the angle of like... a little less serious, a little more, on the fun side, whatever.
I'm here for it.
Yeah, and I think that there's space in the game, there's space in the design, there's space in the lore to like have stuff like this. And when I originally designed,
Mom says it's so cute.
War Kitten as a concept, I mean, it's definitely a nod to the fact that like people like a range of things, right? And like just this kind of gives people who are in that scope. In that side of the spectrum, something to kind of latch onto.
Now for the game side of things.
While we're doing this again.
Yeah, from the game side of things, this is actually the only token in set 1.
Yeah. And
the only card that makes it is Kennels, which is one of the shrine improvements.
Correct.
And that makes these little War Kitten tokens. It's also the only cat unit that's in set correct. 1.
All of this is huge foreshadowing into set 2. For people who know, the couple of people who have done some of the alpha testing with me and some of the balance with me across multiple sets, this is the thin edge of a very large wedge as far as fire faction goes inside of set 2. There's a lot to come. Obviously not based on Rosie.
Honestly, it looks like my cat Rose, just like different coloring, but the position,
features and stuff,
the tail, that is Rose's tail.
It kind of is, honestly.
That little look of get off my property, that's Rose for sure.
I think this art showing a clearly untrained whelp of an evidently scared kitten shows how powerful cats are because these tokens are pretty formidable. I mean, the decks that focus on the tokens going forward, like, it's hard to really build around the tokens in just set 1 because, like Kathy said, you only have Kennels. Kennels is a shrine improvement. It's obviously better supported as you get deeper into the design of the game because cats become so much more relevant as you develop the story for the Fire faction a little bit more. But the...
My mom got the reference when I said get off my property. You're exactly right, Mom. That's exactly where that's from.
But these tokens are really good. I mean, having the fact that they're 2-speed, the fact that they're pretty plentiful, like the cards that make them, kennels can kind of give you one a turn, but there are other cards that can give you multiples at a time. The fact that they build up and like they help for initiative, which can be really important in the aggressive slanted strategies. There's a lot.
I didn't even think of that. They got 2-speed.
There's a lot that goes. This token actually does a lot for board states. Yeah, this card is really important.
And you know what? I've never really considered kennels seriously in the few decks that I've built because I'm so focused on like a dark water deck.
Right.
But like kennels, and then you pair it with McCurry Ravine, because then the War Kitten token would trigger the McCurry Ravine.
Right. That does happen.
Welcome to the party. I'm one of the Flawed devs.
That happens, and like to make it even more like to kind of piggyback off of that logic, there are token generating events in the Futures League where you can respond to your opponent's action with an event, put your first fire unit into play, take a combat action, and then take another action.
Does the stack like resolve?
The actions are always amended on the back of the existing action.
Oh, okay. So
there's an action queue. So like if you make additional actions, or worse, make multiple additional actions inside of one action, they basically just queue up.
Spencer's at work. But
yeah.
Just put the stream up for all of your
the kids
students.
will love it.
How do you think Bailey got here?
Yeah, seriously. Give another point of reference. I mean, this is another one by Megan. We've had her do at least 4 something at this point.
She's done 2 Great Oak artworks, technically 3 if you count the MobileCon promo. She did Churn, Planting.
This Pillory.
One.
That's just like
Pillory.
6, 7. Like, yeah,
Pillory.
she's just
one of my favorite ones.
So we rotated back to her. It had been a couple of months since I gotta figure out why this keeps happening. It's been a couple months since we've seen her. We've been trying to kind of rotate through all the artists and like keep everybody involved, but obviously there's a finite amount of resources that we can use in a given time, and as we have more artists and more things involved, this is just what happens. But
we're up to 12 or 13 artists now.
Yeah. Down tonight, rip.
Yeah. So hit me with the highlights later.
It'll be on YouTube at some point.
The other thing, are you able to pull up the inspiration for the shield?
I can probably find something. I didn't double check that.
While he's pulling that up, can anyone in the chat remember where the symbol on the shield is from?
Yeah.
Think cool back to... I know you've been studying all the Flawed artworks.
I'm sure.
Keeping it real up to date.
Where is he?
Right there. There we go.
Banners and Dying Breath right here.
Very good.
Jake nailed it.
I'm so cracked.
If you scroll up in the chat, there's actually somewhere up here it says, yes, most devoted Flawed fan. That is what it says.
He's so far, earning the title.
You were the one who said it, but I don't think that makes it untrue, right? Like,
yeah, you're absolutely right. It's from the flags, and the background of Dying Breath is supposed to be like McCurry Ravine, one of the walls of McCurry Ravine, and then I remember that Fernando came up with those flags kind of on his own, and we're like using that definitely.
Yep.
So we kind of have taken it forward on the shield.
You've got the emblem on the shield, and then if you even look in the background, there's kind of the silhouette of the banners again, just to kind of put a little bit more continuity in the scenery and like just that type of stuff. And these are all little things, we just had the artist work in.
Yeah, but like stuff like this is really what's going to make the game come together and be like more professional. It's not just like random splatterings of art. Like the lore really, it does shine through card to card. And somebody who hasn't sat through these streams and hadn't heard our reasoning, like they're going to see these 2 cards side by side. They're going to see that artist names are different, and they're going to know that like this is all one story.
Yeah,
and not just like, oh, let's just make a
kitten
and let's just make a guy. And like the colors are almost identical between the 2 on like the flag. And on
she did a really good job of capturing the look of the emblem for sure. I'm noticing now that the walls are gray in the Dying Breath art, and they're more of a brown tone in this one, the like bricks.
But
they're not supposed to be the same location. Like this kitten is not supposed to be getting trained in the McCurry Ravine, so I don't mind that.
But also like that, the coloring just suits the scene of.
Dying absolutely, absolutely, yeah. I'm not a problem.
All of it looks great. I love this little kitty cat. It makes me want to see more cats, but I gotta wait
You gotta wait forever.
For set 2.
Literally forever. Before we see any more cat art. This is gonna be the only one for a while.
And so this one is gonna be in booster packs as like the 11th card.
Yep.
There's gonna be like token/keep card slot.
Yep.
Speaking of booster packs.
Oh, segue.
I did that on purpose.
I know.
That very easily leads us into our next topic of conversation.
So we have been studying, planning, mapping, plotting, whatever word you want to use. Constantly working on getting ready for next steps. You know, getting this official. Make whatever that is going to end up looking like. At some point, it is going to travel through a Kickstarter campaign.
At some point being June 21st.
June 21st, 2023 is
at
that
some
at some point
on this exact date.
But we have been doing some of the number crunching. We've got a lot of the quotes in from the different companies and a lot of the different stuff. And we've actually kind of extended what we want to offer as far as individual items, what's going to be a part of the Kickstarter at all. And we have on the next slide here, and I'm actually just gonna click over right now. There's no reason to really wait. Am I in? We have a slight sort of foundational idea for what a Kickstarter could look like.
And for some background, this is not the first iteration of what we think our tiers should be. I remember first talking about what we thought the tiers might look like in the pool.
Yeah.
in July. And now it's October. So we've bounced around lots of different ideas. What do we think people want to see in a Kickstarter? What sort of things help a Kickstarter fulfill? What sort of tiers do you need to have? Because it's a combination of making sure that the players feel satisfied and feel cared about in terms of what you offer the players,
right?
But also you have to approach it from a standpoint of what sorts of tiers are seen in successful Kickstarters, because you only have 30 days to fulfill it.
Exactly.
So to marry those two things.
Yep.
And this is our first draft that we felt good enough to present to you guys. Would really love to hear your feedback in the chat. But I'll kind of verbally talk about what we got going on here. So right now we're thinking of having 7 tiers. Rip opportunity to have 6 tiers. Oh well.
It's gonna be more than that because there's retail tiers as well.
These 7 tiers are geared more towards the individual person and or a person and their friend.
Yes, very small play group or individual is what we're looking at here. Is what you would be buying in at on any of the levels shown here on this image. We do want to add whale / retail tiers. One of the things that we've kind of researched that we've found it's basically always worth putting something up that's maybe a little bit kind of ridiculously expensive for somebody to jump on, because what ends up happening is somebody does it. Somebody's you know what? I actually really believe in this product. I really like what they're pitching. Let's do it. Yeah. So give them the opportunity to get something cool, something unique. Give them a deal. Whatever it is.
Especially at the retail level too. If there's a store that thinks their local game community is going to want to see this on the shelves, there needs to be some sort of, like you said, whale tier.
Yep.
So that's not on here. But these tiers are more for an individual person and or 2 people who wanted to go in on it together as a friend group.
Yeah.
So if we go through them, the first tier is just 4 booster packs. There you go.
That one's kind of important to note that it will probably not get used a lot.
Yeah.
I don't think a lot of people are just going to want to dip their toe and buy a couple of booster packs. However, we wanted to put something in for people who wanted to look at it as more of a this word doesn't exactly fit, but as more of a collector, more of a just oh, I kind of like what they're doing here. I like the art. Let me just grab a little bit of this and just have some.
Yeah.
Not necessarily trying to crack open a super rare card or whatever, but just oh, let me tangibly have a little bit of this in my hands.
This is cool. I like to support it. Let me get a couple packs. I could also see this being people who just want to support the game but maybe aren't hardcore gamers. Yeah. But they just want say, oh, I really like what this project's going for. I don't really play games, but I like to support it. So that's kind of where the booster pack tier is coming from.
But realistically, we think tiers 2 and up are going to be the main, bulk of our pledges will be people who are trying to get into it with the purpose of playing the game.
So tier 2 is where you start with your first booster box and essence kit. That is basically the core. Like if you want to buy enough to build a couple decks, like I would consider it kind of like the bare minimum just to start out playing Flawed. One essence kit, which we've mentioned multiple times, is a playset of all of the special essences, and then a playset plus of the basic essences.
Yeah, the basics might actually, I think, I have that written down somewhere, the mapping on
like
that.
How many? Yeah.
I think it's like 2 playsets of all the plus zeros, like the super basic ones, and then the infused, it's like 3 or 4 playsets of like each of those. So it's a lot.
And the name is kind of misleading because it also includes all of the shrine improvements.
It does, sure.
So it's essence kit and shrine improvement kit. It's all the plastic.
All the clear cards. Yep. All the PVC you need.
So anybody that wanted to just purchase enough, like the booster box, 24 packs at 10, 11 cards per pack, should be enough to be able to build enough cards to build 2 decks. However, there's always a thing about the shrine. So we're still working on that. Now,
realistically, there's also something like worth noting, like if you're buying exactly just one booster box, like for the most part, you're gonna have enough, like, the assumption here is that you're not doing this by yourself, right? You're not going to be sitting somewhere just playing Flawed alone out of your one tier 2 like pledge, right? You're going to have somebody else who's involved with you. You'll have somebody else who pledged. You're going to figure out where the communities are growing, like whatever ends up having to happen to make it such that you can play. The idea here is, okay, I bought my booster box. I've got my like 24 rares. I got that couple epics that were in there. We already know for a fact that the shrines are going to be mapped, so there's guaranteed 1 per box. So like people who are at this lowest pledge, they'll be able to build like a deck, but they're probably going to need to do some training
to get that
community building, like that type of stuff. You know what I mean? To like actually really start taking those steps.
But with the mapping, knowing there'll be at least 1 shrine per box, tier 2 would be like enough to buy the game and know I'll be able to build a deck.
You can at least play.
And then, of course, one of the things that has shown time and time again to help fulfill Kickstarters is having some sort of Kickstarter exclusive item. So we have a lot of different Kickstarter exclusive items. This is at tier 2. This is your first opportunity to get a Kickstarter exclusive item. We're not revealing yet what it is, but at tier 1 you will get a Kickstarter exclusive promo, so like an alternate art or whatever version of a card that will be revealed at a later time.
Yeah, these labeled promos here are going to be cards. We've got some work to do to determine exactly what they're going to be, but we have a couple of ideas in place as far as making something that will be very special for Kickstarter for like the most people possible. Just make something that people care about. Yeah.
So that's tier 2. Tier 3 is basically like the upgraded version of the single player's kit, like player kit. You still get a booster box, you still get an essence kit, and that will be enough to build at least 1 deck. This time you'll get promo 1 and 2. Again, mystery, but you'll get 2 of the Kickstarter exclusive promo cards.
So much.
And we're also going to do a Kickstarter exclusive playmat and a Kickstarter exclusive set of sleeves. Now, the sleeves, of course, are required to play the game. You have to sleeve the cards together, but you don't have to use, like, Flawed artwork sleeves. You can just use any Ultra Pro or any Dragon Shield or whatever KMC sleeve. But at this tier, your box is going to arrive at your doorstep, and you don't have to worry about, like, finding a box of sleeves somewhere. And it's really jazzy to be able to roll out your playmat and, roll it out, and people are like, oh my gosh, that's like the only one you can get on Kickstarter. You can't even get that anywhere. So it's got that like extra draw to it, and you get 3 promos.
And again, this is another part of it where we're mapping out and getting the quotes and like looking into it. We've got a pretty good line on being able to get the playmats handled. The sleeves are actually proven to be a little bit more work to figure out how we're going to make those, because of the fact that like if the Kickstarter's not huge, if we need only like 50 or I don't know, like if like the sleeves are weird because it's the type of thing that is kind of an add-on product. It's not really core necessarily. People will be getting them. There will be some people who pledge to get the sleeves, sure, but how do we like mass produce them if they're going to be exclusive? Right. So there's definitely a little bit of challenges on that one. So we're gonna see how that shakes out.
Yeah. You want to talk about tier 4?
Yeah, tier 4, I'm actually looking at it. I think it's wrong.
I was looking at it too for a second, and I was like...
That one doesn't make sense.
This was supposed to be our 2 players, like you and a friend buy into it together, but it seems like there's not enough cards.
There's not enough. That's tier 6.
That's tier 6.
Yeah. Tier 4 should be where tier 5 is. Tier 5 should be here. Mm-hmm. And tier 4 should be 2, 2, 1, 1.
Yeah.
Yeah. This needs to be swapped. Really glad we got a chance to talk about this, because now that we're saying it out loud and presenting it to you guys, we realize we've got 2 of these kind of flip-flopped. But basically 4 and 5 are going to be kind of swapped, where you have the chance to upgrade essentially and get, double the material. 2 booster boxes, 1 essence kit, which that even might be wrong also. That might even should be like... We're going to have to crunch the numbers on 4 and 5 a little bit. Because there is actually some inconsistency that doesn't make sense.
The one thing that will stay the same between 4 and 5 is the Kickstarter promo. Tier 4 will give you, promo 1, 2, and 3, which are different. Yeah. It's not like you get 3 copies of the same card.
Correct.
And then tier 5, you would get promos 1, 2, 3, and 4, which are 4 different promos.
And then you get up to tiers 6 and 7, which is obviously, they're a little bit bigger. The idea here being, people who want to jump in a little bit more. If you are the type of player who's going in with, your brother or your friend or, your spouse, whatever, and you're looking to really go in, something like tier 6 or tier 7 is going to give you the 2 sets of all the, extra stuff. Mm-hmm. And it will be more cost efficient than just buying tier 2 twice. Exactly, yeah. The idea here is idea here is to scale it so that, it makes sense for people who want to work their way up. So that would be, 2 friends want to go in together, 2 booster boxes, 2 essence kits. Or if you're someone like Rawl, who is just I need to have 2 essence kits because I don't want to have to move my essences around between decks. I want to be able to have multiple decks built at once. And then you get now... Tiers 2, 5, and 7 get you the more... Yeah, those are the big... Exactly. And Zoltan, that's an important note to kind of pull up. The idea here is we didn't want every tier just to be add a booster box, add a booster box, add a booster box, and have that be all the options, right? We wanted there to be some intermittent stuff in there for people who maybe don't want to spend whatever 4 booster boxes is, right? But they also were well, I could see spending, this little bit of extra money. What can I get for my money, right? So that's why we've kind of tried to weave in these options where it's if I go up to tier 4, I can get a little bit more product like I was planning, without having to spend the amount that it costs to get 4 boosters or whatever, and I can get these cool playmats. Just to give those, just kind of break it down like that, and let it just. One of the things that I've kind of learned when I was researching Kickstarter is realistically there is a ceiling to it, but the more choices you give the people, more likely they are to find one that fits what they want to do, right? It's not. You don't want to have 100 different tiers. There's definitely a limit. But yeah, that's a good note on 2, 5, and 7. And again, 4 and 5 are going to get a little rework. But
also wanted to mention that when you're looking at the tiers that have 2 playmats and 2 sets of sleeves, what?
I don't know if that's true.
About different art.
Yeah.
Oh.
I just said what a problem it's going to be producing the sleeves.
Oh yeah.
So I don't know.
Well,
if that's
but we
true.
said for the playmats, did you?
The playmats almost certainly. But
it would be 2 different artworks.
Yeah.
Again, all of this is what we're hoping to do.
Yeah, this is all we're investigating.
Subject to change.
Yeah.
But we were hoping to have the 2 playmats be 2 different artworks.
Yeah.
So that if we know that tier 6's our thought would be that it would be for friends or siblings that wanted to split a tier together. But if for some reason somebody wanted to get both of the different artworks, it's not like you're at that tier and then you're stuck with 2 of the same playmats if you're one person buying it. At least that's the hope.
Yeah. I mean, oh my god.
And then tier 7, this tier that I will be pledging.
There are some people who will be pledging tier 7. I know.
I mean, I'm going to pledge tier 7 because I know for sure I want 2 essence kits. Because I don't want to have to move essences around. I want to be able to have multiple decks built. And I don't know how many booster boxes I'm going to add on. All of them. I need to get all the cards. We were researching for this, or we have been researching this for quite some time, and I actually asked Rawl, I said, all right, seriously, game is launched, it's on the shelves, whatever, you can buy as much of whatever you want as you need. If you want to buy it, it's available to be purchased. How many essence kits do you own? And he's like, oh, I'm starting with 2 for sure. But probably 5. That's a lot.
He just didn't even didn't bat an eye. Just I am not moving essences around in my decks. I am, for how cheap they're going to be, because that's the thing. We're really trying to get that product as low as possible.
It's because the Essence Kit is the barrier to entry of
right.
play. You have to have a clear card on every single card in your deck.
Yep.
So we didn't want that to be the linchpin that made some people price out of playing the game entirely because of an innovation that we put on the player. You know what I mean? So at least from that standpoint, I wanted it to be as affordable as possible. I
do not believe so, Zoltan. I have found that seems to be kind of it's a really tough model to sustain as far as releasing and that type of thing goes. If we do a first edition run, here's what happens. However many pledges we get on Kickstarter, I can only sell those as Kickstarter first editions if I'm suggesting that the first edition is from Kickstarter specifically, right? So what happens now is if I order X boxes, I get rid of N boxes through Kickstarter. What do I do with the difference? Because I have to buy those anyway, right? The print company won't sell me exactly 298 boxes, right? They need specific breakpoints. Mm-hmm. So if you do it that way, you get screwed out of all the extra product. If you do it the other way, where it's these are first edition, but they're not Kickstarter exclusive first edition. They just are the first edition boxes. Then that creates this issue where it's in the case that you do need to make reprints for future sets, things like that, or how do you differentiate who's getting which boxes for the people that care about the cards that are first edition? Flesh and Blood did it for a number of releases, and they actually just canceled it because of that very issue, right? People didn't want to play pre-releases with the product because they're well, I'm not buying in for first edition prices. Yeah. The weekend of launch, they're well, I don't want to play because these are too expensive. Because people were playing the stock market and saying, oh, well, these are first edition. Yeah, yeah. So it in my opinion, it just creates more problems than not.
I also think in terms of what are you going to do with the extra, it's a model that works better for a larger company that has a lot of resources. Yeah. Which we are not. We're not necessarily in a position to just be getting rid of excess.
Right. And I think if you were to do first edition, the safest way for a smaller company would be to not make it exclusive to the Kickstarter. But then that really brings up some tough moves with well, what do you do with those boxes, right? Yeah. How do you build equity? How do you make sure that people are being treated fairly? How do you sell them to the right, yeah, I think my hope is that if we get to a point where we need a reprint, that it'll just be another copy of the same thing and it will be indistinguishable.
Zoltan says, I'm not a favor of first edition.
Yeah, agreed.
Cycling back, I just wanted to mention Tier 7. That is the only tier where you can get all 6 of the Kickstarter promo cards. And it's 6 different
cards. And again, we're going to try to make these something that everybody will care about. Mm-hmm. It is
it's going to be, as they say, lit.
It's a mission of mine to make it where somebody decides, hey, I'm going all in for Flawed Card Game. I'm dedicating myself. I'm going to pledge at Tier 7. They're going to get something sweet out of that. I want really to make sure that it's it's a cool item.
And then the a la carte, which is where I'm going to spend all of my hard-earned income. You can add on booster boxes, add on essence kits, kind of build whatever tier it is that you want in terms of what do you want out of your Flawed collection. Yeah. We have the playmats on the sleeves if someone doesn't want to pledge all the way up to Tier 3, but they do want to get one of the playmats or one of the sleeves.
So we just wanted a playmat or something, yeah.
And then the fanny pack. Tell them where you got this idea from.
Had to do it. I'm not sure what she's insinuating.
Wasn't there a Kickstarter that had hats or something?
Oh, I've had this idea long before that. That was only a comparison of how it could probably work. Yeah, I think we're gonna definitely order some Flawed fanny packs. Get those on the Kickstarter as an add-on for anybody who wants to show up to the first Big Flawed tournament in style. Those will be available.
And for anyone who's watching the YouTube video and has never met Ken, the game designer, in person, Ken wears a fanny pack at all times.
It's true.
We'll tell you the story. If you meet us in person at a convention, we'll tell you why. It just started, was it last Christmas? Or your birthday?
It would have been two birthday.
Not this past birthday, the one before.
Year and a half ago, yeah.
Ever since then, he's been wearing a fanny pack nonstop. So that's kind of where the fanny pack comes in. Put some Flawed logos on it, but it's definitely a nod to the game designer.
Yeah. This is if there was going to be an item here that you could get to try to be
As flawed as possible.
As flawed as possible. The fanny pack is it.
As flawless as possible.
And the important thing here is, and this is the part that everybody needs to remember, when you're wearing a fanny pack, you always have somewhere to clip your deck.
Your deck box.
Your deck box, yep.
If you get one of those deck boxes that has the little clip on the back.
Exactly, yes.
Now we have to get that too.
Gotta rock the fanny pack. Perfect deck carrying fashion accessory. Exactly.
And then Griffin in the chat says, "You better move.
No,
not be messing around."
I'm not. This is serious. This is a very serious issue. This is near and dear to me. As far as the a la carte stuff goes, though, there's definitely something worth kind of mentioning. The value in the tiers is going to be like better, right?
Yeah.
Like if you buy a tier that is like, for instance, a booster box, an essence kit, 2 playmats, and 2 sets of sleeves, that tier is going to be less than if you just go 1, 1, 1, 1, 1.
Yeah.
You're going to get, there's going to be a little bit of a deal there. Plus, you're obviously getting yourself the promos. So we're going to have to map all that out, crunch those numbers, figure out exactly what it's going to be. We're still a little ways off from really knowing all of that. Again, there's some data we need from some of the manufacturers and stuff still, but we have a lot of it. The whiteboard is covered in number crunches right now.
We have a very, very close estimate to what the Kickstarter, what do you call it?
Like the pledge goal, the total,
pledge goal. What the ask is.
We're in the realm right now, but we're still kind of narrowing that down. But yeah, everything on here is it's getting close. I'm really glad we did this tonight though, because I immediately started to wind up to start talking about tier 4, and I'm like, that's not right. We've actually got these backwards. Mm-hmm. And even when we were typing this up earlier today, I was thinking to myself, I'm like, why do I feel like I'm forgetting? And that, I think that's what it was. I think I was hung up on those middle tiers, but anyway, I think.
Rawl's here.
Rawl's here.
When did he show up? Did we already talk about all these?
Flawed's second biggest fan.
I really wanted to hear Rawl's feedback on this exact page.
Yeah.
We might have to jump into general chat.
Well, I think, in all honesty, we can go ahead and probably just wind down the video at least, stop the recording.
Yeah.
This one might be kind of screwed over. That pop-up happened 49 times.
Yeah.
But we'll see. Giant thank yous all around. Everybody who came in tonight to check out the stream, had a really cool little community. People, good feedback. Awesome to have you guys interacting. I always appreciate that. Big thanks again to the Patreons in general. I'm going to be typing up the actual thank yous that I post every month, and I'm super excited to get a new
the new
epic list and kind of give them their big shout out, because that's awesome. We had a really good turnout for that. People were really interested in checking out the new tier, so that's awesome for you guys who jumped on board with that. But yeah, we're gonna.
Do you want to do a very, very small spoiler of what the next stream is going to be?
Yeah, why not?
We're gonna announce the next season's promo card.
Yeah, we
at the next stream.
The next art spoil will be the winter,
the
fall, the autumn, fall promo card art that you guys are going to be seeing.
Which we don't know when that stream is going to be yet. I don't even know what my work schedule is for the next 2 weeks yet. But once we figure that out, we'll pick a date, and that is going to be the next stream. Is going to be the art spoil for the fall promo stuff.
Yep.
Hype.
It's big hype.
Big hype.
We've been working with that artist, and it is coming together.
I'm so.
So once again, thank you for everybody who showed up. We will do this again soon. Watch the Discord, the Facebook, all that for the announcements. And until next time, we'll thank you very much, and we'll see you.
Bye.
At a later date. We don't know when.